the show's touches this time around? Well, let's see, starting with Laurie Goodman's touch. Laurie Goodman's touch showcases older family dynamics once one of the parents dies and the other spouse is left to carry on. This puts the grown-up children in an uncomfortable place. Betty doesn't quite know what to do with herself without her husband who died a year ago. She relies on her son, Jim, a bit too much. Yet she fights him at every turn. He tries to install a nicer television. He tries to encourage her to socialize more. She just wants him to find a nice person and have grandkids for her. This sounded very familiar to me, as my son can attest. Meanwhile, Bob finds himself in the same boat after his wife died. He's very happy puttering about the house being self-sufficient and doesn't seem to even want his daughter Anna to visit him. All this changes for Bob when Maureen spies him in the supermarket and decides to pick him up instead of a grapefruit. They're in Florida. We get to contrast these widowers with the still married couple who bicker constantly as he is a tightwad and wants to be fiscally sound for their retirement. I loved this play because it was so relatable. They were all so well-meaning, if misguided, at times, and the way the various characters connected with each other in an unlikely yet very believable way, it doesn't seem contrived at all. How does one carry on when one's entire world is turned upside down? The actors were so perfect in their parts. I really felt the parent-progeny conflicts. Touch is very aptly named, as it will really touch you, and touch and human connection are all important. Happy face.
Irish Repertory Theatre is presenting Beckett Briefs from the Cradle to the Grave, 3 plays by Samuel Beckett. The first one, Not I. This is a breathtaking experiment in reduction. All we can see is a heavily lipstick mouth and spotlight. An elderly woman is spewing out a tale of misery at a super fast speed. I caught that she was born premature, but I don't know what else she said. I was shocked by her outburst of screams and the venom with which she spat out the word she. Since the narrative is so tenuous, I experienced her speech as an aria and was very impressed by the virtuosity of Sarah Street singing the role. The second play is called Play. 3 characters are seen as faces above 3 separate funereal urns. The man is in the middle. To his left is woman 1, to his right is woman 2. It seems that these dead people, their punishment is to endlessly repeat the story of their love triangle. Woman 1 was the man's long-term significant other. She badmouths woman 2 as a cheap tart. She visited woman 2 and tried to get her to stop seeing man. Woman 2 was tenacious in holding on to man. Sarah Street gave woman 2 some incredible laughs. The third piece is Krapp's last tape. In his monologue, an older man, Krapp, listens to tapes made 30 years ago. Krapp is shabbily dressed in his messy room. He unlocks sections of his desk to find and eat bananas. His somewhat passionate stroking of the bananas and the oral pleasure in eating them suggest the masturbatory aspects of his project of recounting his impressions, listening to them later. I really cared about Krapp and felt quite sad for his nostalgia and remembrance of lost loves. F. Murray Abraham did a fantastic job of developing the character. I was impressed with the difference between his young voice on the tape and his older voice puttering around the room. Although the first 2 plays do not seem as major as Krapp's last tape, I was greatly impressed by the performance of the actors. F. Murray Abraham's performance in an important Beckett play makes this program a major must-see. Happy face.
Because I just don't like Beckett. There's nothing I can do about it. I just don't like him. And this production didn't change that feeling because I did not realize sitting in the front row First of all, you're smushed against the stage, so I could not move my replaced knee. So I was very uncomfortable. I couldn't, and I was trapped there. Don't go in the front row because you can't see the mouth. You're like this, trying to see this mouth of you. So that I gave up because it was hurting me, my neck, and my vertigo I was getting shaky. So, I mean, she did talk too fast. I couldn't understand a word. I just sort of gave up on that one. But I really liked the second one because it was actually a play. And these people were fun to watch. And there was an actual story there. And then with Kraft's Last Tape, I really love watching F. Murray Abraham. I mean, he's just such a wonderful actor. I mean, I love him on stage. I mean, he does lots of movies and TV and stuff like that, but I know him from his stage work and I've always admired him. So I will not give this an unhappy face because of my hatred of Beckett, because there were some good points to it. So I'm giving a mixed face. Danny Teager's Sugarcraft takes place during the end of Queen Anne's reign in England, 1702 to 1714, where Mary Eels comes to the royal kitchen where she prepared the most decadent confections, including for the first time in England, ice cream. After the Queen's death, she had to find other employment. She would go to the high society to demonstrate her cakes, gems, and yes, ice cream. It is at Lady Dupre's house we get a first-hand account of Mary's life and cooking skills, how she dreamt up an ice cream maker that she had Joe build for her at great personal sacrifice. Or was it? It seemed to satisfy her needs. This play was sheer delight. But what to expect from the same company, number 11, that brought us Ye Bear and Ye Cub, which I still remember fondly. The ingenious use they made of a wig had the audience gasping and chortling, not to mention the quick changes of costumes and characters. This is both funny, heartwarming, educational, and full of many felicitous surprises. Ryan Emmons and Jan Need's set design made clever use of paintings to show different locales, and those costumes by Emily Atkins were enchanting. This was one yummy play. Major happy face. Here we are with the incredible producer Jane Dubin, who is now taken still and thank goodness has brought it back because it is a fascinating play about old flames meeting again. She got a Tony for Norman Conquest. She also has produced American in Paris and Peter the Starcatcher, Bandstand, 39 Steps, Dana H., Finale and the King, The Prom, and off Broadway, one of my favorite pieces in the world, The Absolute Brightness of Leonard Pelkey with James Lesens.
Well, Eva, thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you for inviting me onto your show. And I think I react with my gut. And I think that's what theater does. Theater needs to make us have some kind of emotional reaction. So if somebody sends me a script, if somebody has a presentation of a project, and I leave there and I'm still thinking about it and not thinking about dinner, that's the kind of thing that makes me want to go, And I'm particularly drawn to new work. I like to see the body of theater grow. I love working with playwrights and new playwrights, and with Still right now that's playing at the Sheen Center. It's such a compelling modern story, and I met the playwright Leah Romeo, oddly enough, at something called a writer-producer speed date. Leah had me in 45 seconds talking about her play, and I just loved it. And we've brought it back with Melissa Gilbert, who everybody knows from Little House, but is a veteran actor of stage and television, and Mark Moses, who we all know from Desperate Housewives and Mad Men and Homeland and many, many more things. And they have created a chemistry on stage that continues the legacy of this wonderful play that shows, two people of a certain age, romantic, funny, poignant, and just dynamic on stage. And I love to see it. I'm just so excited to see what happens next.
It's something we can all relate to because we all have past loves. Everyone had a crush in high school and college. We all did. And when we go back to the reunion, we always want to see that person again and see, because we haven't seen them in like decades, and see what's become of them. And if the spark is still there, or if it was a crush, if you could recreate the crush. So
Yeah.
and then in the political climate we have, how do you separate things so you can still respect a person who may not think the same way you do anymore.
Yeah, I mean, these two characters had a very intense relationship that ended 30 years ago. And when they reconvene and reignite, they discover that some of the things that maybe weren't so important then are more important now. And it asks that question, what if? Like, what if you love someone, but you don't agree? How do you navigate those differences? And this is real life. And there's no definitive answer per se, but there are questions. And I think that's what I'm hearing from people who see the play, and yourself and me. When you leave the play, you don't know the answer, but you do want to talk about it. And to me, that is the highest praise that you can give a show, when you're still talking about it after you've left the theater, or maybe the next day, or maybe a couple of days later, because it means it's made you think about something. And I love that. That's what attracts me. That's my definition of good theater.
Yeah, and it depends the kind of like person you are and what your mindset is, because when you leave you could give it a happy end. You could imagine a happy ending. You could rewrite it in your head to give it a happy ending, or you could say, oh no, this deserves a bad ending. So it's interesting, the dynamics.
Yeah, I think there's hope. And what plays out, I don't know, maybe there's a still sequel where we get to see these two people 10 years from now, and what actually did happen. I don't know. We'll have to talk to Leah about that. She wants to write that. That'd be fun.
That would be interesting, because again, things will be different 10 years from now than they are now. So who knows what we'll be going through then. It's like on a minefield discussing this play right now.
Well, I think that's fun, isn't it? It's like just to be able to laugh at certain things, to be able to think about certain things, to see two really terrific actors acting on stage in a kind of masterclass. And that's, I've seen the show a number of times. A lot of times when you count the last version of it as well. And every time I go, there's that word again, but I still enjoy it. I still laugh at places. Sometimes I laugh at different places that I didn't see the first time. I sit at different places in the theater, because sometimes like looking at it from a different angle, literally from a different angle, changes your perspective on things. But Melissa Gilbert and Mark Moses are really terrific. And our director, Adrian Campbell Holt, has worked with this play for a couple of years, and this is actually the third production. It started at Dorset Theater in Vermont, and so to be able, like, the ability to take one script and work it through different productions over different times with different casts, it's a really exciting thing for playwrights and directors to be able to do that. Usually it's you do a show and then it's frozen and then it goes out and other people do it, or it ends. But they've been able to work on it and refine it and get perspectives from like amazing actors. Actors bring so much to the table, and when they're saying the lines, do a little different twist on it, and then you get a whole different kind of element to it. So it's been a really exciting process. And I have to say, I have to give a shout out to my producing partner, Blair Russell, because that's this is a hard business, producing theater. It can be lonely, and having a really wonderful partner to work with has been really exciting as well.
And I just love Cult Core. That's one of my favorite coming. And Adrian is just like the best director ever. I mean,
yeah.
And it's amazing because she does take different. I saw it also with Jane Atkinson and Tim Daly, and it's incredible that no matter who you plug in, the play is so well, and the title, because still it's a questioning word, and it's a questioning play, so it's just perfect.
Yeah, that's true, and I think it speaks to Leah's words. The play's the thing, and when you put good actors in the play, it's going to be a good play. That's the fundamental root of everything. The play itself, the words, and these two actors, execute at such a high level. But the play is the thing, and it's, hopefully theaters around the country will want to do it, because it's that kind of, it's two people, it's older actors. They're really juicy roles. So that's our hope, that it goes out into the world and continues to play and play and play and play. We can't control much. We can control what plays we put on. We can't control the environment that they're in. But we just hope that people come out and see them and enjoy them and spread the word.
Absolutely. And if you see Jane Dubin attached to it, you know you're going to get a good, solid, funny, sad, meaty play that's going to make you think and really be just escape too. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Eva. Thank you for having me, and I enjoyed our conversation. And come on down and see Still at the Sheen Center. We'd love to have you.
The Map Theater Company presents Exiles, James Joyce's only play. It's directed by Zachary Elkin. The Exiles are Richard and Bertha, who return to Ireland with their son Archie after 9 years in Italy. Richard's best friend Robert professes his love for Bertha. He has loved her all the time she was away with Richard. Richard believes in absolute free relationships, and he encourages Bertha to use her freedom if she wishes to have an affair with Robert. She's attracted to him and lets him kiss her. She tells everything to Richard. Bertha is jealous of Richard's closeness to his old girlfriend, I think, Beatrice, who is more his intellectual equal than Bertha. Is freedom a good thing? Is it even really freedom? Can relationships and friendships survive absolute freedom? The idea is interesting, but the characters seem almost incestuously intertwined, so as characters they are not fully rounded. The audience is seated on two sides of the playing area, and we are almost uncomfortably intimate with the performers. If you are interested in Joyce, you will want to see this very rarely performed singular play of his to get a sense of his complete oeuvre. Otherwise, you might want to pass it by. I gave it mixed faces plus.
From the Pan-Asian Repertory Theater, we get Philip W. Chung's My Man Kono, which tells the riveting story of Kono, Charlie Chaplin's chauffeur turned Man Friday, back in Chaplin's silent heyday, who was invaluable to Chaplin, and what happened to Kono in the throes of World War II. Because he was Asian, I forgot to mention that. With Kono's lawyer, Wayne Collins, preparing a case for Kono to be released from detention and possible deportation, we learn about Kono's life. How he met the love of his life, who he married and had children with, how he came to work for Chaplin, and their bromance that was cut short by Paulette Goddard, making an enemy of a psycho-fan who wanted to meet Chaplin but was denied by Kono. Then Kono got mixed up with a commander in the Navy from Japan, who was a spy for Japan just before Pearl Harbor. FBI agent Horn was determined to get Kono deported, and he used the disreputable Alva Blake to do that, the psycho-fan. We got a wonderful backstage story of the silent movie era through the eyes of Kono, a Japanese immigrant who with Chaplin's help managed to live the American dream, but take that away and you're left with a racist nightmare. The second act became the suspenseful courtroom drama as Kono's lawyer argued to free Kono and keep him in America. I couldn't help but think of Chaplin's own troubles being kept out of the US because of his so-called socialist leanings. This was so well done and told with an exceptional cast that I am giving this one a major happy face. Thank you, Philip Chung and the Pan-Asian Repertory Theater for bringing this to our attention.
Mint Theater Company is presenting Garside's Career, written by Harold Brighouse and directed by Matt Dixon. In this play, Peter Garside, a Midlandton engineer, passes a difficult academic test and sees himself headed to a brilliant political career because of his oratory skills. Some friends from the Labour Party help him become an MP. His mom is pleased, but his dull, priggish schoolmarm girlfriend, Margaret, is worried. From his public speaking, sparks fly between Garside and a bored rich girl, Gladys Motram. Garside is very pleased with himself, and of course, pride comes before a fall. His fall and the aftermath are the more boring parts of this century-old play. Sarah Hyder as Gladys is extraordinarily beautiful. How can Peter not be captivated by her? And how can he think of reuniting with his unappealing ex-fiancée? I like the way the set easily transformed into 3 different places. And I thought the acting was top-notch, as I always expect from the Mint. I don't think this play was one of their better antique finds, so I'm giving it mixed faces.
And I completely disagree on this because I absolutely enjoyed it very much. And the thing is, I love the dynamic between the mother and his, fiance, because the mother just wants her son all to herself, and she was just being very mean and like, oh, I love my son. You don't believe in my son, but I believe in him. And oh, go away, go away. And I don't think she was priggish. She was just very earnest and very, solid. She's a solid small town gal, and they've been together forever, and they had plans, and they had a lovely life before them. And he just uprooted it all because he was a selfish, self-centered person, and he needed that fall in order to become a better human being, because he was not. And I mean, I agree with you, though. Gladys was just gorgeous. I mean, the whole rich family and the way they did transform the set was incredible. While I'm talking, you should look up who did the set and also the author of Garside Corners. See, I thought it was
the set is by Christopher Shader and Justin Shader.
And who wrote the play?
Harold Brighthouse.
Okay.
I did say that.
Okay, I wasn't sure. But no, I mean, I felt that, I didn't feel any chemistry between the two of them, but I just like the fact that, this guy was, like I said, so anyway, I thought it was a typically good Mint production with all the elements there. And I agree with you that woman, Gladys, she really was quite stunning, I have to admit too. So yes, but I'm giving this a happy face. William Cameron's Truth Be Told is one of the most compelling stories of a mass shooting told from the mom's point of view. Joe Hunter is interviewing Kathleen Abaddon, the mother of the son, Julian, who allegedly shot 14 people in a warehouse, including his own stepfather. Kathleen, of course, doesn't believe her sweet baby boy could do such a thing. She is hell-bent on proving that her son didn't do it. She has prepared notes which she tries to present to Joe, but Joe isn't interested. Joe wants to have a conversation with her. Eventually, they share stories about their sons. They have radically different parenting styles. Will Kathleen ever come to terms with what her son may have done? Will Joe get past her own judgments to really connect with Kathleen to write a fair book? Kathleen turns to Ellen Covington, who believes her and is so nice to her, while Joe seems to judge her like everyone else in town who thinks she is a monster. Ellen Covington has his own agenda to prove that all these mass shootings never happened. Watching these two exceptional actors, Francesca Rivara and Michelle Park, try to get to the truth of the matter that is satisfactory for both of them, but can it ever be when it involves something so unthinkable? William Cameron has written a Pulitzer-worthy play dealing with an all-too-common situation these days in a most uncommon manner. Kim T. Sharp has brought out all the nuances of what it means to be a parent and how best to raise your child that you love no matter what. Truth be told, this is one hell of a play that socks quite an emotional punch. Major happy face.
Yara Art, which is a Ukrainian and American theater group, is coming back to La Mama from March 7th to 16th, doing The Magic of Light, which re-envisions a concert that introduced Ukrainian epic songs, and the bandura, which is an incredible instrument. It has like 68 strings and looks like an oversized lute. And that introduction was in 1875. Earlier in February, I saw another Yara piece that was actually in a 9th Street basement that was the original La Mama, Ellen Stewart's birthplace. And it was about futurist painter, Ukrainian futurist painter David Burlesque. They're a very interesting group. I'm looking forward to seeing their new work.
Our next show is March 22nd, and there's so much going on. March 8th closing is Godzilla's Prince at EAG. Closing March 9th at Second Stages on the evolutionary function of shame. And Mark Lonergan's Sunset Circus is at 11 and 2 at the Marlene Mayerson JCC. Closing March 12th, this looks so interesting. Georgia and the Butch, adapted from Maria Chabot and Georgia O'Keeffe Correspondence, 1941 to 1949 at the Tank. And our favorite people, the Hotsy Totsy Burlesque tribute is now to the films of A24 at the Slipper Room March 13th. Closing March 15th is that wonderful choreographer Raja Feather Kelly's Bunny, March 13th through the 15th at the Invisible Dog Art Center in Brooklyn. And at the Brick, you've got I'm Repeating Myself to the 15th and Middle School Play from the 19th to 24th. Closing March 16th for free at home. You can watch Mint Theater's Hindle Wakes. Go to their website, find out how to get on. National Black Theater's King Comes Home will be March 16th at the Apollo Stages at the Victoria Theater in Harlem. The Irrepressible Magic of the Tropics closes March 16th at Intar. I have been trying to see that thing. I finally gave up. People were sick. The elevator was out. It's supposed to be wonderful. The Audit and the American Dream closes March 16th at Urban Stages, and also closing March 16th is Labyrinth Theater Company's Stripped House of Blue Robes at the 5090s 59 theaters, where I saw Sugarcraft. Closing March 22nd is Marée dans la Civilisation from March 13th to 22nd at the Perelman Performing Arts Center. Closing March 23rd, As Time Goes By at Christopher Street, Song of the North at the New Victory Theater, The Great Privation from Soho Rep, Fog and Filthy Air at TNC, and La Gota Fria, The Cold Sweat at the Players Theater. And Eric Sirota's musical Frankenstein, it's on streaming musicals on Vimeo on demand all the time. And our favorite places that you should always check out is Soho Playhouse, 92NY, 54 Below here, and La Mama. And particularly Coffee House Chronicles is doing Blue Lips on March 22nd. I can't wait to see that one. And keep going to the theater. It's that time of year.